This is about future consumers. We're going to be meeting and hearing from Martin Newman as the consumer champion and founder of customer service action Servometer and the Customer First Group. Martin is one of the world's leading authorities on customer centricity and a force for positive change for consumers and for brands, as well as fighting for consumer rights. Martin is an advocate for diversity, social responsibility and employee engagement for all consumer-facing sectors. Appears regularly on BBC TV and radio, on Sky, on ITV, on Channel 5 and a host of other media channels discussing consumer issues. He's worked for 40-ish years, leading the multi-channel operations for some of the world's most recognisable brands. His best-selling book, 100 Practical Ways to Improve Customer Experience, is seen as definitive within the sector, was shortlisted for Business Book of the Year award back in 2019. Following his career in the consumer sector, Martin founded global e-commerce and digital consultancy Practicology. He has since set up the Customer First Group and new consumer-facing website Customer Service Action. He also runs his own mini MBA in customer centricity. He has a wife, Laura, daughters, Antonia and Saskia, a dog called Lulu. Fans of football, or soccer, as we call it here, will be interested to know that Martin is a huge soccer fan. Glasgow Celtics is his team. Back in the day, he himself was actually coached by Sir Alex Ferguson, who is the Manchester United legend. And let me tell you, I didn't realise how into his soccer Martin was, until I met him yesterday. This guy lives, breathes and sleeps soccer, and I'll tell you how into his soccer he is. I went up to say g'day and I walked up behind him and I tapped him just very, very gently on the shoulder, at which point he fell down on the ground, writhing around in absolute agony, milking it for the foul. It is time to hear from our consumer champion in Australia for the 27th time. Please say hello, Newman, to Martin Newman.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Andrew. What a great introduction and what a fantastic host and MC he is, I'm sure you'll all agree. I'm privileged to be here, and thank you to the AFGC for inviting me over. I must admit, I've always fancied being on stage live in Vegas. I just didn't realise the first time I was going to do it, it was going to be in Vegas and not in Las Vegas, but there you go. And I want to also point out that you guys are remarkably turned out. You all look absolutely splendid. You're very, very smart. Clearly, I didn't get the memo. I was told I was coming to a James Bond convention, so apologies for that. Maybe not as smart as I would normally be. I'm going to talk about customer centricity. You can see what I've done there, food for thought. Boom, boom. Start with a pun to begin with. And I'm going to talk about how I think you can leverage customer centricity to create competitive advantage. And in my humble opinion, it is actually the only thing you can do to really create competitive advantage. But my perspective of what customer centricity is maybe a bit broader than what you've been thinking about. So as Andrew said, I've been working for 40-ish years, about 41 years now. I know that'll be surprising given I only look 28. I started my career here, top left, and in the middle, working for my father. My father, when he was alive, had a chain of optical practices in Glasgow, a small chain, long before the Specsavers and all these global brands in retail optics even existed. And my dad was brilliant at selling. He was brilliant at customer experience. Patients, as we called them back then, would come in to get their eyes tested and they'd walk away with 2 pairs of glasses and a pair of sunglasses. Now, I don't know if any of you have been to the west of Scotland recently, but you probably know there's not too much need for sunglasses there at any particular time of the year, and you've never seen so many walking around. I also had the privilege of running online and multi-channel operations for brands like Harrods, Speedo, part of the Pentland Group, Ted Baker, and Burberry. I was their first head of online in Europe. I'm also a non-executive director, so in terms of what I do today, I'll just talk a little bit about that. There's a few things that I do, one of which is I'm a non-exec director. Some of you will know the term, the abbreviation for that is NED. Now, I was presenting in Glasgow recently to the board of my favourite football club, Celtic, and I must admit, I was getting a funny look when I was telling them about everything I do, and I said, and amongst other things, I'm a NED, and that's because that's what a NED looks like in Glasgow. So I think they thought they had the wrong guy in the room, but there you go. So I'm a board advisor. I have the privilege of being involved with a couple of great Australian brands. After my 27 trips, I'm fluent in Australian. I'm involved with a business called Marketplace, or some of you might know. In fact, some of you in this room, a large grocer that might have been on stage just before lunch, may well be using their technology to extend their range and go into the dropship model. And I've also been involved in ClearPay, which, in case you don't know, is part of the Afterpay group. I've been involved with them for about 4 years. I'm on the board of a charity called In Kind Direct, which the King is the patron, and I chair the retail arm of the Scouts. I do education, a couple of books, just became recently a visiting lecturer at the University of Strathclyde Business School, and I can assure you, every single one of my teachers, may their dear souls rest in peace, will be turning in their graves at the prospect of me delivering education at that level. But there you go. Things have progressed over the years. And then I also do a mini MBA, which Andrew alluded to earlier, and I'll talk about that at the very end. My ugly mug does turn up occasionally on TV, sometimes on BBC Sky. That was me. I don't know if you can tell, I've got lockdown haircut there. We're all socially distanced on the couch. It was quite an interesting experience. And I also do things like mystery shopping. So this is me in the CoverGirl store in Times Square, New York. I'm sure you agree, I look very fetching in that particular lipstick and eyeliner, using augmented reality and virtual reality in the process. I'm going to talk about, first of all, where we are today. And the reality is that as consumers, we can buy anything, we can buy it any time, we can buy it any place, and we can buy it from anybody. I'm sure you agree with that, can't you? Or don't you, hopefully. And if we have a bad experience, 5 taps of our fingers on the mobile screen, 5 taps, and there's about 10,000 alternative choices away. So that's what we have to live up to. The bar's set very high from a consumer perspective. Have a look at this video. Some sound, if you don't mind. AV guys, sound, hello, wakey, wakey. Clearly they're the ones with food coma, not you. Right, let's go back and watch that again. Okay, watch this video.
Did you hear that? That's the balance of power changing. We are your neighbors, your brothers and sisters, co-workers, kids, your grandmothers. We're the driver sitting at the red light next to you, the other passengers on the plane. And now we have the power. It used to be Madison Avenue, census data, focus groups, secret shoppers. It used to be jingles, endorsements, infomercials, coupons. It used to be, the customer is always right, said those who didn't listen. But that was yesterday. Today we found our voice. We are strangers, but we are organized. We won't wait for your big data. We want whatever, whenever, wherever. 9 to 5. We live 24 hours a day. We are a moving target. We move fast. We are a movement. We are cutting cords, changing the way things work. Status quo, status no. We brought down the taxi industry, but we are not the enemy. We are your opportunity. We are growing, getting better at getting better. We are your path to success, if you can keep up with us. We'll be on the winning team because we'll pick the winners. We are not millennials. We are families with more Facebook followers than you. We are not baby boomers. We are grandmothers who order Christmas gifts from a touchscreen. Gen X. Gen Y? No. We are Generation CX. And you can be too, if you listen to us. Create for us. Join us. Generation CX.
There you go. So that's what it's all about. And yet, despite that, only 28% of consumers make a repeat purchase across all retail sectors. So they make one purchase and then only 28% go back to the same brand to make another purchase. And despite that, according to the Harvard Business Review, who may know a thing or two more than I do, a 5% increase in customer retention, 5% increase in customer retention, 5%, that's all, leads to a 25 to 95% increase in profitability. So a tiny move towards retention fundamentally changes the profitability profile of the business. Now, technology, as I'm sure you know, is at the heart of driving the empowerment that we as consumers are looking to have. Sometimes it gets in the way because sometimes we don't maybe understand, we haven't talked to our customers, and we maybe don't understand the question and the problem that we're trying to solve. And this is an example of what happens when it goes wrong.
Hello, just after semi-skimmed milk.
Your search for semi-skim milk returned 0 results.
We don't sell milk.
Your search for milk returned 52,256 results. Your top hit, milk of magnesia.
No.
Milk floats of yesteryear.
No.
This milk-themed family wall planner.
No, sorry, I'm just looking for, you know, normal milk.
Couldn't find what you were looking for.
That's what I'm saying. I couldn't find it, so I'm asking you if you could...
Advanced search.
All right, let's do this. Keyword, now, go.
Yeah, okay. Milk.
Please narrow your search by using one of the following filters. Kayaks, packet 12, self-cleaning, breakfast and condiment.
That one. Breakfast.
One result.
Milk, skimmed semi.
Semi-skimmed milk. That's what I first asked you for.
It's milk skimmed semi.
So I think some of you have seen that before, very relevant to your industry. I could have showed a whole host of other videos, but that's what happens when the online experience gets translated into the physical world. You can see how frustrating it can be when it doesn't work well. 73% of customers expect a personalized experience. That's our expectations. We really do expect you to send us tailored communications, to offer us tailored products. We heard a fair bit about that earlier in the Woolies session. According to Jeff Bezos, the founder of Amazon, he would say, start with the customer and work backwards. I would fundamentally agree with that. But I would go a step further and I would say, start with customer lifetime value and work backwards. We're all focused on the top of the funnel because we're quite good at that. We know how much it costs to acquire a customer. We're great at measuring ROAS, return on advertising spend. We do love our acronyms, don't we? ROAS. But what about CLV, customer lifetime value? How much might somebody be worth if we actually understood what their needs were and how we might cater for them over a longer period of time? Brands that are truly customer-centric, guess what, are 60% more profitable than those that aren't. Everything I'm going to talk about today, and I'm just setting the scene at the moment, it's real life. I spend a lot of time trying to convince boards not to focus on the cost to serve and focus on lifetime value. More about that later. Right, hopefully you've all woken up from your food coma after lunch. Who wants to hear a secret? Yep, a few of you? Come on. A few more, excellent. That's the answer I'm looking for. The traditional return on investment model is no longer relevant, in my humble opinion. Because I think that when you focus on the numbers and you've got to prove the business case, you make a lot of the wrong decisions. And I'm going to give you lots of examples of that today. So I am going to share some very exciting news with you because I've got 10 new ROIs. Not 1, not 2, not 5, but 10 new ROIs that you can start to measure and qualify the opportunity around a lot of the things that we've been hearing about today. And the first one is return on inspiration. I read a Gallup survey recently, and believe it or not, and it's a really sad indictment, I think, of our industry, and generally speaking, only 15% of employees in the global workplace are engaged. Only 15%. I have to tell you, in the States, it's about 33%. In Europe, it's 15%. In Europe it's 10%, and in the UK, it's 8%. I'm embarrassed to tell you. Now, I'm sure many of you have seen this before, culture eats strategy for breakfast. And I remember when I first saw that and I was thinking, what does that really mean? It just sounds like one of these BS bingo jobs that somebody's come up with. But after I wrapped my head around it, I realized what it really meant is you can have the best strategy on paper. You can have spent months and a lot of money developing a strategy for your business, but in reality, it will not be worth the paper it's written on if the culture isn't absolutely spot on. I'm going to show you a video now of a business that I think has a fantastic culture and a great CEO, a guy called David Boynton, who's leaving the Body Shop, unfortunately, after 5 years of doing a great job in getting them back to their roots of really where they were and what their values were when Anita Roddick ran the business. So have a look at this.
I sent in my application to Ellie. Ellie asked me my 3 questions. I answered them. The next day she rang me up and said, oh, you've been accepted. And I actually turned around and said, are you joking? Because I thought that was quick to get a job. And there I am.
It was really nice. just to know that they look for the person rather than what experience you have in the past.
The barriers I've experienced before was much harder because there is limited hours I can do as I'm a single parent.
In the past, I have lots of problems, and whichever interview I done it, they wanted me early morning shifts or late night shifts, and they don't understand a mother responsibility.
It's been going to a big family, and it's been really supportive.
It's made it so much better working here, being friends with my colleagues and getting along with everyone and having such a welcoming team.
I've learnt so much about the environment. I'm actually learning a lot more about what's actually in the products and what we're actually doing to the planet with the products.
This company is amazing because they actually support other people with different disabilities or abilities that they have.
This job at a body shop means to me everything. It gives me purpose to wake up for, something to look forward every day, new challenges. I really love it and I'm grateful. Thank you.
Getting a bit emotional now watching that video. Crikey. That's all about giving people a chance, That's all about giving people who wouldn't normally have an opportunity to come and work in the workplace. And they have an open hiring policy where they bring people in. People can literally walk off the street and apply for a job. Imagine the impact that has on those people and the level of service that they provide to customers that walk into the stores. I don't normally get that emotional, by the way. There you go. Now, some of you will know a family business called Timson. If you've been to Europe, you might know it as a Mr. Minute. That's not their business. Timson is a 4th or 5th generation family business. And this is their upside down management model. You go to Timson to get your keys cut. You go to get your Manolo Blahniks rehealed or your boots rehealed. And again, in most businesses, let's be honest, and probably some of your businesses right here, right now, if you look at your board, if you look at your strategy deck or your board deck, that inverted pyramid is probably the other way around, isn't it? And at the top, you've got the executive team. You've got the board, the executive team, senior leadership team, middle management, everyone else in the business, and then the customer somewhere down the bottom. Here, what they're basically saying is, and it is a very simplistic model, but what they're saying is, as the management of the business, we are here. It's not about hierarchy. We are here to support all of our colleagues. But it's actually the people that engage with our customers on the front line that have the biggest and can have the biggest impact on our business. And they are empowered. So if you walk into a Timson store, every single member of staff, whether they've been there for 1 hour, 1 day, 1 week, or 20 years, they're all empowered to offer a discount. They're all empowered to give compensation if something has gone wrong. They're all empowered to come up with a new promotional idea. And that level of localization and that level of service is what keeps them ahead of the game all the time. And I think when you look at that bucket, I think that's about human centricity. So I'm here to talk about customer centricity. But I think human centricity really is at the heart of customer centricity and arguably even more important. Now, return on investment number 2 is return on integrity. 68% of consumers won't buy from a company if it feels that brand or that company has poor ethics. Now, many of you will remember the Volkswagen emissions scandal in the US, going back to 2015, when they fundamentally lied to the market, they lied to customers about their emissions from their diesel vehicles. And look what happened. Their share price, pointer isn't working, their share price literally dropped off a cliff and it has never returned. Never returned in 8 years. Now, is that because Volkswagen make bad cars? I don't think so. German engineering's pretty good, last time I checked, but they lost trust. A lot of customers don't trust them or didn't trust them anymore. And it takes a long time to win customers back. Now, the reverse of that is that 80% of customers are more loyal to companies with good ethics. No surprise, really, when you read these stats. And another brand I think has great ethics is Ikea. So they are committed to helping disadvantaged people. They actually go out their way to help people, again, a bit like the Body Shop, who can't find employment, refugees, people with disabilities, migrants, to find work. And that translates into an amazing customer experience on the front line of their business, and that translates into more sales and happier customers. And they have fans, they don't have customers. And I'll talk a bit more about this in a minute. 32 million of them on Facebook. And by the way, they made a gross profit of nearly $14 billion last year. So again, everything I'm talking about today pays. Patagonia, again, anybody buy Patagonia? A few of you, yep. I bet you don't think of yourself as a customer of Patagonia. I bet you really think of yourself as a fan. Everyone loves the brand. Everyone that buys from Patagonia loves it because it has ethics and values and purpose at the heart of everything it does. It's been giving away $10 million of sales from its Black Friday sales every year for the last 4 or 5 years, to the point where, believe it or not, you've probably read this, at the end of last year, the owner donated the business to a number of charitable trusts, all focused on improving climate change. That's how ethical that business is. Going back to Timson, I passed this in their branch in High Barnet, where I lived not that long ago. It was really interesting. If you're unemployed and need an outfit clean for an interview, we'll clean it for free. Now, it just so happens the family owns a dry cleaning business, but they're not promoting that, right? What they're doing is they're giving back. They're being socially responsible to the community, and they're saying, if you need our help, we are here for you. According to some research I saw, 85% of in-store shoppers now want to know that their grocery store supports and contributes to the local community. So I guess one of my challenges to you is, how are you doing that? Not only nationally if you're a big chain, but how are you doing it on a localized basis to show to your community that you really are there for them? It's not just about selling products, and that you're an integral part of that community. Now, my next ROI is about return on inclusion. And I've sat on a number of retail boards over the years, and I can tell you that if you turn the clock back 7 or 8 years ago, or maybe less than that, I'd say 5 years ago, the retail boards that I knew and others that I wasn't involved in, I think they were paying absolute lip service to this, right? They talked about it, but it was all about doing the minimum. It's another thing we have to do. We have to be diverse and we have to be inclusive, right? It's all about a quota. I think we've moved on from that now, and I think that most businesses recognize that it's morally the right thing to do. However, I genuinely don't believe the majority of businesses actually understand the commercial opportunity of being diverse and inclusive. Now, I don't want to be too controversial, and I know that you're only a snapshot as a representation of the industry, but as I look across the room today, I probably see about 65% men, which I find interesting. I'm not being controversial, I just find it interesting, even more so when you consider that women drive 70 to 80% of all consumer purchasing decisions, right? And I know this, because I have a wife, I have 2 daughters, and I have a dog called Lulu. And Lulu decides what she eats. She absolutely decides what brand of dog food she eats, and my wife and kids make pretty much all the other purchasing decisions. I just get asked if I'm okay with it, right? I don't really get a proper say in the whole thing. So given that, and given the makeup of this room, why is it also that most of our boards are still pale, male, and stale? I'm not, they are. Why is that? My premise with this is, if you're not representative of the customers that you're trying to sell to, how can you possibly expect to make the best decisions, to prioritize the things that you should be doing and you should be doing better? And yet, high gender diversity teams make more money. Yep, they're 21% more profitable. Honestly, show me a report from Deloitte, from McKinsey, from anybody that you've ever read that tells you that businesses that do this well don't make more money. You make more money. End of. There are 5 million disabled people in Australia. I know you'll be horrified by that, but you'll be thinking, what's this daft Scotsman talking about? Because you're now kind of looking around the room thinking, I don't see any disabled people here. But you heard it yesterday from Jordan, right? 20% of the population has a disability. And not all those disabilities are overt. Some of them are hidden disabilities. Both my kids, who we'll talk about later, have a hidden disability. And I know from first-hand experience how poorly they're catered for across every consumer sector. They're not even a consideration. I can tell you that for absolute sure. And yet, when I look at 20% of your retail market in totality, I've worked out that's an $82 billion opportunity. Why would you not want to wrap your arms around that? Why would you not want to say to disabled customers, we're here for you, we want to prove it, and we're going to prove it with our actions. We're going to be fully accessible. We'll have an accessible website. We'll be fully accessible for wheelchairs coming into our stores. We'll never try and turn you away if you're with a guide dog, which happens quite regularly in the UK. Does anybody have an idea who that brand might be? I'd say it's the hottest global brand in the athleisure space today. Not Lululemon. They're up there. I think I heard Gymshark. It is Gymshark. They've only got one store, massive online business. One store. And this is their store in Regent Street. And again, I got a bit emotional when I walked in and I saw that, because I've never, ever seen a mannequin, a disabled mannequin, in any other store in my entire life. And that, you know, that one picture for me tells you all you need to know about why Gymshark are so good and so successful, because they're so considered about everything they do. Now, if you think I'm only talking about this stuff and I don't walk it, you would be wrong. So, I have an involvement with the world-famous Glasgow Celtic Football Club and what's called a global cell. I'm part of a business network of fans, business people but who are fans that give the club some support in different ways. And I jumped on the opportunity to sponsor and help design packs for fans with autism. So this young man, Clark, here, is autistic. And the idea was that when you're a fan and you've got autism and you're young and you're in a football stadium with 60,000 people, often very loud and quite physical in their emotion, it can be very intimidating. So we created a pack with little toys and other things, gadgets that would help to distract them. We also created lanyards for fans with hidden disabilities so that stewards could identify them and give them extra help if required. The guy in the background is Callum McGregor, the captain.
Oh,
have a look at this.
I could never go to Specsavers.
No, I don't go to Specsavers.
Not anymore.
The thing is,
Oh dear.
I don't go to Specsavers actually.
Oh, behave.
Should have gone to Specsavers. No. They come to me. Oh, hi there, come on in.
We're there for people who can't go to Specsavers too. We thought you should know. To see if you're eligible, search Specsavers home visits.
Isn't that brilliant? Do you know any other opticians that do that? Now, I'll talk about this at the very end of my presentation, right, when I talk about innovation, but you know, can you prove a business case for that? Of course you couldn't. It's never been done before. So how do you know what the impact of that's going to be until you do it? But your instinct as a human being tells you it's the right thing to do. Let's be accessible to all our customers. And if they've got a mental health or an issue or a disability, we'll come to you because that's the right thing to do. Imagine the goodwill that that creates and how many people those customers tell their friends, their family, and everything else. My next ROI is return on image. So a little bit similar to return on integrity. And you've heard a lot about, and I'm not going to major on it because you've heard a lot about this already, but conscious consumption. We are hurtling down this path. The one thing I would caution you with, I've heard a couple of people say, is, you know, we know that Australia is a little bit maybe behind where we are in other parts of the world in terms of consumer adoption of sustainability and behavior and everything. And there was an interesting comment earlier about this. And I think it's about the fact that we don't really provide customers with the information. That comment was made before lunch. We need to let people, we need to tell people there are options. But I can tell you that this is going to rapidly change your industry and change all industries, and I think you know that already. So consumers are now looking not just to necessarily buy something new. Now, what this means for grocery, I have no idea, right? You'll have to think this one through. Maybe we can have a conversation about it another day. So obviously this is more, you can easily understand this when you talk about apparel or you talk about other electricals or other categories. But consumers want to buy new, they might want to buy secondhand, they might want to buy in luxury, we call it pre-loved, upcycled, recycled, or they might even want to rent and not actually buy and own something. And what I will say is that actually buying a secondhand product that's been recycled or upcycled or pre-loved is now a badge of honor for consumers. It's actually a badge of honor, being able to tell your friends, I've got this lovely new Mulberry bag, but didn't buy it new. Oh, it's had 3 owners before me. It's a very interesting change mindset. Electric vehicles. I bought an electric vehicle about just over a year ago. All the big car brands, and I know this because I work with Toyota and others, all the big car brands have been really caught out by the move towards electric vehicles. At the moment in the UK, 1/3 of all new vehicles are electric. By 2025, it'll be 50%. Right? The industry did not think it was going to get anywhere near those numbers until 2030 rather. So things are moving at a pace. And resale is growing at 5 times the rate of traditional full price retail. This is Decathlon, who took 4 of their stores in Belgium and reversed the branding basically. No tased. That's Decathlon backwards. To basically say to their customers, you can now bring in your old sports products, your tennis rackets, your golf clubs, whatever. We'll recycle them. We'll give you some money for them, or you can donate them to people that can't afford to buy our products. Zara have done the same thing. So don't think the fast fashion brands are not embracing this because they know how much of a concern it is. So now Zara has an app in the UK where you can go on to get your garments repaired. There's a resale platform, or you can actually donate your items to other customers who can't afford to buy Zara new. Now, you've all heard of Maslow's hierarchy of needs. This is the hierarchy of needs. Now, I don't think we're there yet, but we're definitely on this journey where consumers might actually, the last thing they might think about doing is buying something, right? Use what you've got, borrow from someone else if you can, swap something that might be of interest to someone else, thrift it, make it, and actually buying it becomes the last consideration. That's got pretty big challenges for most retail sectors. And I do believe that is where we're going. As I say, I don't believe we're there yet by any manner of means. Now, I want to show you another video now of a brand that I think's done incredibly well, growing its business over the last 20 years. Very socially responsible business, but also one that recognizes what's important. So have a look at this. Oh, hang on a minute. Let's press the right button.
They said I was too pretty to fight. Now she can't fight. You're gonna mess up that beautiful face.
They said I was too fat. Only skinny girls can dress well.
On me regarde la tête aux pieds. Comment peut-elle être avocate?
They said I didn't dress for my age.
They said my nose was too prominent.
They said I was too masculine.
They thought the catcalling was a compliment.
He said, you can fix those teeth quite easily.
Boyish and ugly. When they were talking about female, they weren't talking about me.
This was not pretty.
They would holler from across the street.
Look sophisticated.
Embarrassing nose.
Too chubby. Was too skinny.
Manly.
Crazy hair.
Never looked good.
Too wild.
Too cute.
Too beautiful.
Too fat.
He said.
They said.
She said.
I said, no way.
You aren't me. I'm me.
I'm not going to be defined by anyone's expectations.
I don't dress my age. I dress myself the way I am.
Because my face has nothing to do with my boxing. I'm ranked #1 in the country, #2 in the world.
As a fashion blogger, my style is 100% unapologetic.
I don't want to change my teeth. Le physique n'a rien à voir avec mes compétences.
This is me. This is my hair.
My beauty.
My beauty.
My beauty.
My style.
So there's a brand that I think understands what it means to be customer-centric and what it means to leverage that for competitive advantage. Go back to the 1990s, that brand was worth $200 million. Today it's worth over $5 billion. Is it all because of that? No. But you get the message, right? It's about the culture, it's about the mindset, it's about values, it's about purpose, it's about doing the right thing. My next ROI is what I'm calling return on intervention. Now, I don't care whether you sell widgets, whether you sell logistics products, whether you sell soap, whether you sell grocery products, electrical products, I really don't care. Every single business can turn a customer into a fan. And it's a byproduct of how you behave. It's a byproduct of doing the things I'm talking about today that starts to change how someone feels about your business, from something that's transactional to something that's more emotive. Now, these trousers here that I'm wearing, Boss travel pants or trousers or whatever the heck they call them, little nifty zips there for hidden pockets, which is handy for a Scotsman because I can put my credit cards and my cash in there and no one knows I have any. There's a wee joke to some of you, might understand that. Anyway, I'm a bit OCD and I've got about 20 pairs of these in black, in blue, and in grey, right? A bit dull, but there you go. But they work for me. Anyway, I'm sitting at home about 9-10 months ago on a Friday evening, early evening, about 6 o'clock, and I decided I had a pair on earlier that day, and I thought, they're getting a bit tired. I'm going to try and buy a few more pairs. So I go onto the Boss website, I buy them, I'm on my phone, I use Apple Pay. So far, everything's great. Apple Pay says, order's gone through for about 360 or 70 euros. The website immediately said, really sorry, there's a problem, your order hasn't gone through. So I'm panicking. I'm thinking they've taken my money, and I'm not going to get my trousers. What's going on? So, of course, I go straight onto the website. How can I contact them? Problem number one, their customer service hours are there to suit them, not to suit me. Now, they might have changed it since, because I've talked about this quite a lot, but this is about 9-10 months ago. So they weren't even available at the weekend, right? But you can contact them on WhatsApp, you can email them, you can text them, you can even fill out a bloody form on the website. And I was like, you can call them? Great. But of course, no one's there. So that's problem number one. Problem number two, dear Mr. Newman, thanks for your email. I've since checked and the order you mentioned hasn't gone through. Therefore, we didn't take any payment. If the money's still pending on your account, I, Lupe, in customer service, recommend you, Muggins here, contact Apple Pay customer service. So problem number two, it's not their responsibility, it's my responsibility. Can anyone think about the next problem? Anyone? Come on, guys, you're in retail. It's all about the sale. What about the trousers I wanted to buy? Well, I had underwear on, but what about the trousers that I want to buy? Right? They didn't even try and sell me the trousers. If that was your business or my business, I would be livid about that. I think the purpose of a business is to create customers who create other customers. How good is that? We're going to do such a good job that our customers are going to become our marketing. We've heard about that already. There's never going to be anything more powerful than word of mouth. People like you talking to your friends and family about how great an experience you had, right? We're always going to listen to people like us more than we are going to listen to the brand. My next ROI is return on interaction. Has anybody ever stayed in a Hilton Doubletree hotel? Yeah, a few of you? And the W is quite nice, I have to say, but the Hilton Doubletree. Now, when you walk into a hotel, the traditional experience goes like this. The first thing you do is you walk in, you go up to the counter, and they ask you to prove you are who you say you are, right? Show me some photo ID. That's the first thing that happens. The next thing is, give me your payment. And if you haven't paid for it already, I want to make sure you can pay for this room, right? Even if you're going to be staying there for a week. That's the first thing that happens. You walk into Hilton Doubletree, and they hand you a brown paper bag. Now, I'm suspicious when people hand me brown paper bags. I'm even more suspicious when they're warm. But you open it up, and you get the waft of these beautiful home-baked cookies. And you realize that what they're doing is they're saying, this might be a hotel, but we want you to feel like you're at home. This is a home from home. We don't want it to feel like the traditional hotel experience. Now, this might be too much information for some of you. According to CDLP, they are the best underwear brand in the world. I may or may not, I am, wearing CDLP underwear right now. I'll leave that to your imagination. Anyway, I made my first purchase, and I got this card. And essentially, there's nothing creative about it. There's nothing fancy about it. They hand wrote my name at the top, but they offered me 10% off my next purchase. So guess what? I tried them on, and I thought, these are pretty good. This might well be the best underwear I've ever bought. I'm going to use that code, and I'm going to go and buy some more. And that's exactly what I did. A few weeks later, I got this email in my inbox, a survey. Dear Martin, we're always committed to improving our product. If you wouldn't mind just filling out this survey, it'll just take a couple of minutes. And here's a 15% voucher to use again of buying more CDLP products. So guess what? I filled out the survey, I took the code, and I went and bought more products. They're already building customer lifetime value by doing this. My next ROI is return on improvements. And I was doing a session in South Africa a few weeks ago. I'm very privileged to go to some amazing places. I'm doing a bit of work with a contact center business there called Synergy. Long story short, I helped to create a conference which was about how to move from customer service to customer care. Because I think you'll agree, customer service is the kind of Hugo Boss experience, right? It's more often than not, computer says no. You don't know how to contact the brand in the first place. You finally get through to someone, and they just make you feel as if you're irrelevant, right? And you go away, pesky customer, right? Whereas customer care, in my mind, engenders a very different experience. I now realize I didn't pull that slide up, but there you go. 88% of customers say that the service a business offers is as important, or if not more important, than its products or services. And I want to give you another example of a hotel experience that I had, and this time it was super high-end. So going back to 2015, I think it was, I get flown, a few amazing things happened to me in a few weeks. I was on BBC talking about I was going to say Brexit. I definitely wasn't on the BBC talking about Brexit. Talking about Black Friday. Don't know if you remember in 2015, everybody was beating each other up to get the cheapest TV out of a store. So I was on TV in the morning talking about that. I then got invited to Downing Street. Jack Ma of Alibaba had been invited, and he was coming to talk about the launch of his business in Europe. And then I got invited to Hong Kong. So a few things happened all at one time. Anyway, I went to this hotel, and it wasn't like the DoubleTree. They did ask for my passport and they did ask for my money, right? But what happened then is the lady who was checking me in took me to my room. She showed me where everything worked. She showed me how everything worked. And I was like, wow, I've clearly never stayed in a top-end hotel before because I've never had an experience like that. And I would just like to make it clear that she did leave the room at this moment. I then went and had a shower, and I came out, and I was trying to get the TV on, and I was using this really complicated-looking remote control. I'm not always the best with gadgets, and I couldn't get it to work, and I thought, maybe it's just me, I'm being a bit thick. I told them on the way out, and I came back at night, and this is on my bed. Just to let you know, your TV wasn't working. I fixed it. It's now working properly, and here's my name, Sam Lou, and here's my number in case you have any other problems. Now, people have said to me over the years, but that's a high-end hotel. Doesn't matter. That takes 2 minutes to do, and it takes 5 or 10 minutes to come to the 10th floor in the Mandarin Oriental and leave that on my bed. That's about mindset, it's about empowerment, it's about culture, and it's about not about customer service, it's about customer care. Now, ladies, and maybe some of the men as well, do any of you know what bag that is? The brand? Anyone tell me? Balenciaga. I think I heard Balenciaga. So, turn the clock back. I'm coming up for my 30th wedding anniversary. Turn the clock back 10 years, I'm coming up for my 20th wedding anniversary. And I'm in the Bal Harbour Shopping Centre in Miami. And I'm walking around with my wife and kids, these very expensive fascias. I'm thinking, I can't afford anything in here. Anyway, we happen upon Balenciaga. I honestly had never heard of the brand back then. We walk in store and I immediately realise what it's about. It's about bloody expensive handbags. And my wife and my eldest daughter, Antonia, pick up this bag and they go, oh, look, oh, it's beautiful. And that very bag. And it's so much cheaper than it is back home in Selfridges. So I said, okay, Laura, it's a big number. It's coming up for our 20th wedding anniversary. Do you want that bag? And this is where you need to realise, ladies, that I can read your minds, okay? Because my wife said to me, no. But I knew what she really meant was, yes. But don't buy it here. Surprise me when we get back home. You silly man. That's kind of what was going on in my wife's head at that moment. So I got back home. I got back, see? If only more of us read women's minds, our lives would be so much easier. Happy wife, happy life and all that. I got back home. It's a Monday morning. I'm going into work in my little consulting business, Practicology. I'm back to back with meetings. I can't get anywhere near. I remembered Selfridges, but I can't get anywhere near the store before Tuesday because I really had to have the bag delivered on Tuesday because our anniversary was on Wednesday. Anyway, I went on their website. They couldn't guarantee delivery for Wednesday morning. What am I going to do? I found Matches Fashion. I went onto the website. They can deliver it between 6 and 9 o'clock on Tuesday evening. Yes, job done. I look at my diary again, and I am out for dinner with my most important client. It's been in the diary for 6 months. There is no chance I'm changing this meeting. So I called their customer service team, not the customer care team. And I explained my predicament. I said, I'm getting divorced if I don't get that bag. Can you talk to the courier and deliver it between 8 and 9 and not 6 and 9, and I'll get home for then? Really sorry, sir, but our courier doesn't offer that service, right? I'm like, say that again? Now, in Aussie dollars, I don't know, that's about 2,000 Australian dollars today or something like that. I said, here's my name, here's my number. Would you do me the courtesy of at least asking the question? Oh, yes, Mr. Newman. Do you think he even phoned me back? Didn't phone me back. I bought it. I got home at 7:30. I got lucky. It turned up not long after. But he knew nothing about that. And I contacted Ruth Chapman, the founder of the business, and I said that's about one thing and one thing only. You don't have a culture of empowerment. He actually thought he was doing the right thing by sticking by the rules. And I know that's not what you would have wanted. And she changed, I promise you, she used that and she changed the culture of the business from a customer care perspective, or from customer service to customer care. And she was generous enough to allow me to put that case study and to interview her and put it in my first book. So it's a true story. Now, Home Depot in North America. I don't know about you, DIY I am a damage-it-yourself person. If you give me a hammer, a saw, nails, scissors, any form of implement like that, I promise you, I will hurt myself. Now, it's taken me quite a long time to realize that, but I'm at a place now where I realize I need to pay other people to do that sort of work. And so you go into Home Depot and you can see, do it, let us do it for you. That's what I'm looking for. Find a trusted expert locally, great service proposition from free delivery to right the way through to, by the way, if you need help buying this, we can also provide finance. This is a business that understands what it means, not just to sell stuff, but to be a provider of service. Return on number 8, so I can't even speak now. ROI number 8 is return on involvement. Burberry, who I had the privilege of working for many years ago, now if you make an order on the website, you're then essentially connected with somebody in the store. So that's them starting the whole omni-channel, multi-channel opportunity and turning a customer from a single-channel customer into a multi-channel customer. Jo Malone, you might have bought some of their fragrances. So they have a 92% conversion rate when customers interact with the store staff. So they call it perfume painting. Right? You know, you go in normally, you put it on a card, and you waft it around, and you go, that smells really nice, doesn't it? Or you might put it on your wrist. Anyway, they've obviously found some formula to apply the perfume in some fancy way. And when they do that, almost everybody makes a purchase. I've heard a little bit of chat about this. I certainly think in the grocery space, one of your big opportunities is for you to move just from selling stuff. And I know that some of the brands here already do quite a bit in health and well-being, but I'm sure there's a lot more you could do. And it feels like nutrition is the way to go. You know, what can you do with nutrition in your branches, in your stores, to help people who have celiac disease, diabetes, or maybe just a goal to get healthier? What can you do to make sure they buy the right products in the first place? My second to last ROI is return on insight. Now, I've sat in thousands of trading meetings on a Monday in retail when I was a retailer. I had more KPIs than you could shake a stick at, right? Average order values, units per transaction, dwell time, conversion rates, exit rates, unique users, returning users, and so on and so forth. The problem with all these metrics and these things that we report on in our businesses is they don't really tell us anything about why we're performing the way they are. They just tell us the how, not the why or the what. They tell us what the metrics are. In other words, if your conversion rate is 5% on your website, who cares? What's more important is what about the 95% of people that come to the website every week and don't buy something? Mike Logue, a friend of mine, took over a bed retailer called Dreams a number of years ago. And this business was bankrupt. And he basically he turned it around by tapping into customer insight. 40% of customers fill out a survey every day and tell them what needs fixing and what worked well and what didn't work well. And he uses that now to make, or he was using that to make all the big decisions in the business. They were losing £50 million in 2013. They were sold for $600 million in 2021 to Tempur Sealy, all because of they started making decisions based on customer insight. Just one quick one for you. When was the last time you called a lapsed customer? When was the last time you picked up a phone? You got your customer care team to call somebody and ask them why they don't buy from you anymore. Yeah? Interesting insight you would get from that, I reckon. Go back one. Our most unhappy customers are our greatest source of learning. Now, has anybody flown on Ryanair? Not notorious for customer care necessarily, right? Great on price and everything else. I got this email through a few weeks ago. The voice of the customer. We're listening. Join our customer advisory panel. I love that. This is the recognition that if they're going to grow to the next level, they're going to have to start to listen to the customer. And just pushing out this model that's worked for them for many years is maybe not the way forward. Do you think, and some of you will know about this, and I'm not making light of it, but do you think that Pringles and the particular supermarket in the UK went and spoke to customers about whether it was a good idea to launch smoky bacon flavoured Pringles around Ramadan and to use Ramadan Mubarak to promote it? Do you think that Electrolux spoke to customers or their advertising agency spoke to customers when they were coming up with this great idea when they were going into the US? That works really well in Europe, by the way, because it tells you how good the product is. But of course, in the States, it tells you how rubbish the product is. So it's very different. My final ROI is return on innovation. And my premise is if you need to be 100% sure, you will be 100% late. Let me show you. There you go. If you need to be 100% sure, you'll be 100% late. I'm going a couple of minutes over. Bear with me. Short video. You'll love it. Watch this.
The traffic jam Whopper. We used real-time data to detect our potential buyers in a traffic jam to offer them a Whopper and deliver on the move.
Fernanda, buenos días. Señor Eduardo, buenas tardes.
¡Ay, qué bello!
Llegaste en chinga, cabrón. Me cagaba de hambre.
Our media was 100% dynamic, promoting our service only in high congestion zones. By leveraging traffic and drivers' real-time data, we adjusted our billboards' location and content. The messages displayed information about the remaining time in traffic to order and personalized updates about deliveries in progress. Also, Waze banner ads and push notifications invited drivers to get a Whopper as soon as they entered our delivery zones. People were able to use voice commands to place the order and avoid tickets. Finally, using the latest Google Maps APIs, our app pinpointed vehicle location and speed in order to deliver for the first time ever to a driver on the move. The delivery zones changed following the traffic light, making our service available when a gridlock was identified, always within a 3-kilometer radius from the restaurants.
Hola Mariana, ¿cómo estás?
¡Ay, te agarraría besos!
Lo siento, estoy en servicio.
In just 1 week, we increased delivery orders by 63%, and our daily app download rate increased 44 times, becoming the #1 fast food app, surpassing McDonald's, Domino's, and Starbucks in Mexico. Coming soon, Los Angeles, San Paulo, and Shanghai. The Traffic Jam Whopper.
Enjoy the traffic jam.
Now, if you didn't have a culture of empowerment and you were in a business where you had to prove every single business case before you got investment, right? Do you ever think that would have happened? It wouldn't have seen the light of day because there's no way they could have proved the opportunity. These two beauties are my daughters, Saskia on the left and Tony on the right. I just wanted to end by saying we've talked a lot about Gen Z, and I have been educated. I get reverse mentored when I'm at home every single night, right, around the dinner table. These two tell me what I can say, what I can't say. When something comes out of my mouth that's right or wrong, they keep me right. And I think if you want to know what the future of your industry looks like, you've got to stay close to Gen Zs because they will tell us, and they are telling us, what we need to do. I'm not going to go through this. These are largely the things that I covered. This is my framework for customer centricity. You could boil it down into something simpler. I posted this on LinkedIn yesterday, which is the Virtuous Cycle. Happy employee, happy customer, happy CEO. Doesn't really need to be any more complicated than that, does it? If you did like what you heard today, my name is Martin Newman, and if you didn't, it's probably Boris Johnson. This is my mini MBA course, just in case you're interested. I also do an MBA in a day. But customer-centricity.mba.com if you're at all interested, or you can just email martin@martinnewman.co.uk. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you.